Hi, welcome to another Stuff of the Week. Here's some stuff from the fourth and final full week of March 2026, give or take a day. Let's start with purchases. First up, I got Moon of the Wolf. I'd ordered it and it arrived during this week. It is by Leslie H. Whitten, and it is the source material for the TV movie that starred David Janssen, Barbara Rush, and Bradford Dillman about a werewolf terrorizing a small town in Louisiana. And I wanted to, when I saw it was based on a book, I said, well, I want to read that book. And it sounds really, really good. And also, I kind of like the ad for Alive that's on the back of the book there. That's cool too. No cigarette ads in this one, but can't have it all. But Moon of the Wolf. Also, I added another soundtrack to my collection. It was the soundtrack to the 1973 thriller The Baby. Music composed and conducted by Gerald Fried, who I know best from his score for, I believe it was Amok Time on Star Trek, the original series. Um, Renting and watching The Baby back in the early to mid 1980s with absolutely no idea as to what to expect from it was a memorable experience, to be sure. Uh, I I picked it up because it was directed by Ted Post, a name I knew because he had directed two films for Clint Eastwood, namely Hang 'em High and Magnum Force. Also, the first sequel to the original Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and an early Chuck Norris, may he rest in peace, flick called Good Guys Wear Black. So I knew the chances of it being good, or at least competently made, were better than average. What I most remember about my viewing of The Baby was being utterly gobsmacked by the ending, which, thanks in very large part to Gerald Fried's haunting score, both creeped me out and broke my heart. While I know that opinions on whether or not the ending to the film qualifies as tragic or happy can differ greatly, I lean toward the former and not the latter. This limited edition release from Caldera includes an informative and insightful audio interview with the late Gerald Fried, who passed in 2023, that sheds some intriguing light on his approach to this rather unique film.
Gerald, do you remember working on The Baby, which is a very odd film because you can't really categorize it. It's not really a horror film, it's not really a thriller. Was that difficult for you to work on?
It actually made it easier because it's such an obvious theme of these four women trapped in their own psychology, and it was an opportunity to write unusual music. The combination of a baby, and I tried to hint at the sound of a baby by using a music box sound
Mm.
played by a celeste, but it was distorted, just like their concept of baby was distorted. And it focused me on what the music should do.
The interviewer describes the score as monothematic, in that it is built around a singular theme, meaning that rather than create separate themes for both the protagonist and the antagonists, Fried created a theme for Baby and would alter it according to the various characters' distorted definition or twisted viewpoint of what Baby represented or was to them. All I truly remembered of the score from my one and only viewing 40 plus years ago was from the film's ending, which is represented on track 19, titled Pool Games. If you know, you know. I am very happy to have added this Cult Oddities entire score to my collection. That was purchases. Let's go. I made no headway on Tres Picos, the Salvador Dali puzzle. Reading wise, I did finish The Rebirths of Tao. I really enjoyed most of this conclusion to the Tao trilogy, sorry, until the climactic battle, and then my enthusiasm just drained away. While there were a lot of interesting ideas about free will and just how humanity would respond to the reality of there being alien puppet masters, they were just not all that well explored or explained. While not a bad novel and also a very quick and entertaining read, it just lost me at the end. I wanted and was hoping for more than what I wound up getting. So it goes. 3 stars out of 5, if only because it really had me until the last 50 or so pages. Last week, I read a story out of the Weird Women anthology. It was What Was the Matter by Elizabeth Stuart Phelps, which was, let me see here, which, according to this book, let's see, was published, it doesn't say, 1869. But here it is written as What Was the Matter by Elizabeth Stuart Phelps. And it says here in the introduction, Elizabeth Stuart Phelps, 1844 to 1911, was an American feminist writer whose work challenged traditional Christian views of the afterlife and the role of women in marriages. An active anti-vivisectionist and an advocate for women's clothing reform, burn those corsets. Phelps was the first woman to present a lecture series at Boston University in 1876, in which she focused on the fiction of George Eliot. The following tale, What Was the Matter?, about a woman with a very specific psychic power and its consequences to her and those around her, first appeared in Phelps' collection Men, Women, and Ghosts, which had been published, as I said, in 1869. I found the story bittersweet and yet very satisfying. And yeah, I would recommend it. If you, I'd recommend this anthology just for the historical value alone. But yeah, it's a good story. I also read The Moving Finger by Stephen King from the Nightmare and Dreamscapes anthology because I decided to start. I'd been perseverating on doing a from page to TV screen review where I read a story or a short story that was adapted to an episode of an anthology series, and I had both Monsters and the Moving Finger at my disposal. So it was I decided to start at the end. It was the last episode of Monsters, and seemed like a pretty good place to start. There'll be more forthcoming. I think the next one will be a story that was adapted for Tales from the Dark Side, but don't hold me to that. It's my plan. But as they say, if you want mythical god to laugh, tell it your plans. Now let's move on. That was reading, and we'll go the trail camera. I managed to get a trail camera video up, but things have been real quiet in the open space during winter. Just not a lot of activity, which comes as no surprise. But now with spring and warming things up and everything in bloom and my eyes burning and my nose running, various critters are starting to venture out once more. Hoping that another wide-ranging menagerie will entertain us this summer. But, you know, we got a deer, some squirrels, a cat, and raccoons. You know, that's a pretty good show. I'm still hoping that the feral pig, Wilbur, will show up. But don't know. He was a surprise. He could be gone. They could have euthanized him. I don't know. But I'm rooting for him. And, you know, I'm sure Wiley will show up, the coyotes, at some point or another. viewing wise, I didn't watch any movies outside of the Monsters episode. I watched The Moving Finger, which is covered in the From Page TV Screen video that went up on Wednesday. But last weekend, we went and saw an exceptional production of the Arthur Miller play All My Sons, starring Jimmy Smits and Wanda De Jesus. That was performed at the Berkeley Rep. And I was gobsmacked by how good it was. And it is not hyperbole from me when I tell you that this production is one of the flat-out best experiences I have ever had at the theater. Period. This was just a stunner of a production for me. When we were leaving, I told Tanya I'd come back and see it again just to see those powerhouse performances. So good. Excellent. I don't know. It may have closed by now. I think it was in its last week or weeks when we went and saw it. But yeah, that was everything I love about live theater. Jimmy Smits and Wanda De Jesus and everybody else was just phenomenal. And it's a great play. All right, we're going to go get into the Wayback Machine now and look at the vintage newspaper ads from dates concurrent with those of the work week of March 23rd through the 27th, 2026. Our first stop will be March 23rd, 1984, when Sleepaway Camp opened in the San Francisco Bay Area. My last 2 years of high school, basically from fall, spring 83, 84, which was my junior year, and fall 84, spring 85, which is my senior year, were spent living overseas in Hong Kong. So I missed out on the theatrical release and any and all spoiler talk from classmates who might have seen it for Sleepaway Camp, and went into my very first ever viewing of the movie blind. This would have been, I think, in the fall of 1985, or maybe the spring of 1986. I don't remember. But that is when my best friend and I rented Sleepaway Camp from a local video store and gave it a watch. Now, for most of its 84 or so minutes of runtime, we found it to be, to be honest, an uninspired and rather routine slasher movie. One that was interchangeable with the innumerable others that were clogging up the home video sections of every single video store during that period in time. Then came the ending. And, well, that final reveal and our reaction to it is one for the record books or history books. And I think it made me also realize something about the whole spoiler phobia people have. That euphoric jolt delivered by that moment can fuel something of a unicorn hunt for many a fan, leading to the mistrust of trailers, ads, or reviews that might spoil any or all potential for yet another discovery high like that, where you get gobsmacked by something. But let me let you know on this. It's you can choose to take Grandpa Saxwood's advice or opinion or not. But these moments, they find you. You don't find them. That is what makes them so very special, because you're just not expecting it at all. And, so it's just every now and then, maybe once a decade, maybe once in a lifetime, you'll get something like that. And it's something special, and remember that happened. And if you haven't seen Sleepaway Camp and you don't know the ending, although by now it's impossible not to, check it out. Okay, also on March 23rd, but in 1924, we have an ad for Telling Tales magazine, the April 1924 issue. And Arthur T. Munyon's novelette of love hitting fast and hard, The Kiss That Flamed, gets the hype here. Although a cursory internet search did not uncover any biographical data about Munyon, I did find a bibliography of his many pulp romance publications, courtesy of Galactic Central. In addition to Telling Tales, Munyon's stories also graced the pages of such magazines as snappy stories, saucy stories, breezy stories, droll stories, as well as some higher tier slicks like The Smart Set, Red Book, Hutchinson's Good Housekeeping, the Saturday Evening Post, and McCall's. There we go. March 24th, 1979. Phantasm sneak preview tonight, midnight at the Balboa Theater. Now, in the late 80s and early 90s, I actually lived in the Richmond district of San Francisco, and at one point I lived within walking distance, maybe about 5 blocks, give or take, from the Balboa Theater. A theater that I would see a number of films at. By the time that I went and saw it, the movies they showed were ones near the end of their theatrical runs, probably a week out from being released on home video or being pulled from theaters. And they were invariably on like double bills. And this is also where older me wishes I could go back and speak with younger me and implore him on his day off from work and university to get out of the damn apartment and go see movies at the Balboa Theater. You missed out on a lot of stuff, dude. Come on. Have some fun. Don't let the anxiety and depression get you down. Don't ignore me. Don't walk away from me. Punk. As far as Phantasm goes, I got the soundtrack for the film in a bundle of soundtracks that my parents gave me for Christmas in 1979 or 80, I think. And it was before, I think it was before I saw the movie, so probably 79. But it did help me recognize one of the tracks because it underplayed some of the hosting segments during John Stanley's tenure as host of Creature Features on KTVU Channel 2. There's only one, two. And it was the track Welcome to Morningside, by the way. Now, March 24th, 1924, and you know that Easter's around because they're hyping up the serialization of Hendrik Van Loon's book, The Story of the Bible. And this is evidently a retelling of the Bible in narrative form, I think, with some critical study of it as a work of both storytelling and history. Those that prefer or believe in a more strict interpretation of what a percentage of the world populace believes to be Holy Writ might take exception to this approach. I don't know, but this is something that is definitely capitalizing on the proximity of Easter to keep its readership and sales numbers healthy. Now we jump forward to March 25th, 1960, and The Angry Red Planet starts today. The Angry Red Planet was a colorful, in more ways than one, science fiction adventure about the perilous first landing of humanity on the planet Mars. Dangers abound, from a giant man-eating amoeba jellyfish hybrid thing to a towering bat-rat spider. The latter being acknowledged by Stephen King as influencing him to put the giant leg of a something what's-his stepping down next to a carload of people attempting to escape the mist. The second feature is the far less colorful because it was in black and white, but also fun, Hideous Sun Demon, a Jekyll Hyde or Wolfman type science fiction thriller starring Robert Clark, who also co-wrote and co-directed, about a scientist that turns into a monster whenever exposed to sunlight because radiation. Oh, and Cinemagic was just the placement of something like red cellophane over the camera lens for whenever the explorers were on the surface of Mars. Go back to March 25th, 1923, and we have this ad for the April 1923 issue of Hearst International Magazine. There is an article. They hype an article that is hurling brickbats at lax enforcement of anti-dope laws and its corrosive effects on genteel society, showing that the more things change, the more they stay the same. There is also an article uncovering the nefarious deeds of the KKK. The fiction, which is what I want to know about, are serial installments of The Temptress, by Ibanez, uh, The Men Like Gods by H.G. Wells, and Cordelia the Magnificent by Leroy Scott. Also included, excuse me, are 8 short stories and 3 articles, one of which was penned by Damon Runyon. March 26th, 1986. Excuse me, sorry. Dang allergies. Okay, where was it? March 26, 1986. And April Fool's Day starts tomorrow. Now, I gave April Fool's Day a pass when it attempted to prank any and all who did go see it during its brief theatrical run. At least I remember it as being a brief run. I might be misremembering it. The film's title had me thinking or guessing that there would be a gotcha twist ending involving the kills, and when I did watch the film on home video, I learned my suspicions had been 100% correct in that regard. It's less a slasher film and more a prank Latin and drunken college murder mystery party game homage to Agatha Christie's seminal And Then There Were None. But April Fool's Day is at best a modest entertainment. It's not terrible, but it's not all that good either. It's right down the middle. We have on March 26th, also, but way back in 1928, an ad for The Thule Marsh Murder by Nancy Barr Mavity. Serialization of that. The Oakland Tribune hypes it up, and the ad copy claiming that the novel would be of deep interest to everyone living in Alameda and Contra Costa counties is not hyperbolic as it may read today, saying that Mavity's novel was based off an actual murder case. The setting of the novel is El Cerrito, a city I have driven past on innumerable occasions, and having grown up in Alameda County and being a current resident of Contra Costa County, I feel the need to familiarize myself with this novel, which is supposed to be quite good, actually. March 27th, 1980, and The Changeling starts tomorrow. Now, The Changeling is one of the better, if not one of the very best, cinematic ghost stories. It's a chilling meditation on grief that also provides something of an emotional catharsis beyond the mere boo. Whenever tales of hauntings are discussed, the matter of why a character stays is broached with the dismissive question of, why don't they just leave? I would. But that is, I think, the wrong question to ask, because the real one is, what is compelling them to stay? And in the case of The Changeling, Scott's character has a very real reason for staying. And it's a connection that bonds him to the ghost of Joseph. There is always an element of mystery to a haunting story. Who is doing the haunting? Why are they haunting? And questions that are asked questions that are asked in The Changeling's rather effective advertising. And yeah, as I said, I do appreciate the trauma-fueled emotional link between the character of John Russell, who's played by George C. Scott, and the spirit of Joseph. It explains both Russell's need to investigate the haunting, to understand it, and in the end, to try and help Joseph find justice. Highly recommend it. It's a great ghost story. If you haven't seen it, please see it. It's really good. And we're going to end on March 27th, 1920, with an ad for the Literary Digest, which, despite the use of the descriptive literary, is just a collection of abridged news articles and opinion pieces. All I learned about it was the magazine folded a year or so after they badly miscalculated the re-election chances of FDR in 1936. It was a real Dewey defeats Truman kind of mistake, and yeah, the magazine never really recovered. They folded in 1938. And there you have it, another week in the bag. I'm going to be away from the computer for a week or so, so I'll be yapping at you in about 2 weeks, give or take. And listen, have fun while I'm gone. All right? Bye.